start. So in the last week, we were talking about the 3 stages of entrepreneurship, if you remember. And if not, you can always check the video to refresh your mind. But today we're going to talk about the 4 fears of entrepreneurship. And we're going to talk to them or mention them in a quick fashion because they are not so difficult to understand. And probably some of you have experienced these 4 fears when we were doing the project at school. And we're going to start with the first 4 that are the following. The first one is age. And we have the question over here that it says exactly what age is too old or too young to run a business. And that's an excellent question because sometimes you may think that if you start a business too young, what's the problem? You're not going to have experience, you're not going to have the money, you're not going to know how to do many things or how to handle many things in your company. And that means that you have a long way to walk before you become successful. That is the case if you start a business too young. But this doesn't mean that you cannot be successful if you start really, really young with a business. That is not something, it's not like there is a specific age for you to start a business so you become successful. And if you read the book, there are many cases or there are many examples of people who have started when they were younger and they become really successful. And some others that they have started when they are older and they become successful as well. One of the really nice examples that we had is like, for example, Harrison Ford. And Mr. Ford was, a person that started selling cars when he was about 50 something years old. He started buying a lot of cars, not a lot, I mean, a bunch, but a place in which to sell cars. And what happens the first time? He broke out. It didn't work out. He had to do it again and he tried again. He did another lot that was bigger and better than the last one and also failed. After his probably 4th, 5th try that he intended to do something like this, he became successful. Therefore, he ended creating a type of car or the brand that is one of the favorite brands of America in the case of cars, that is Ford. Why? Because he never gave up. He never just threw the towel because he said, I'm too old to do this, I'm too, another person should do it. They are younger and with more experience or probably with more creativity than I have. But what happens was that it's not about the age. It's about the motivation that you have. In this case, Mr. Ford was really motivated to succeed and to have a brand of his own and to create his own car. Therefore, he became successful. So that doesn't mean that it doesn't matter if you're young or old. What matters is that you have the motivation to do it. Another example of this is like, for example, Colonel Sanders, as you know him, the face from Kentucky Fried Chicken, if you read the book, he was successful until he was 65 years old. That was the age in which he became successful with his recipe of chicken. Just imagine 65. Probably some of us are saying, hey, that's too old to become successful. But there is no age for that. You can be successful right now at your 16s, or you can be successful later on at your 20s or your 25s. But that depends on your motivation and the kind of intrinsic goal that you have in mind. Like where do you want to get with your brand? Where do you want to get with your product? And have a clear point of view of what you want to achieve with all the resources that you have right now. Know what you are going to have in the future. One of the things that is instrumental when you start a business when you're young is that you think, right now I don't have the resources to do this, but later on in life I will have them. Don't wait until you're ready. Don't wait until you have everything set up for you so you can work. Start working on an idea now, and therefore, while you are learning along the way, you will get experience and you will get what you need to become successful. Second fear is the lack of money. There is no doubt that having lots of capital makes starting a business somewhat easier. This is completely true, okay? Because if you have more money, that means that you can afford better things and afford better, not only goods, but also services as well, and better people that work for you. So you make something bigger and better. However, this doesn't mean that it will become successful right away. There have been so many examples, so you can look on the internet. I don't want to bore you with many examples, but there are plenty of examples that started just with a few dollars, a simple idea. And what happened was that they started creating many incredible things. So it's not about the resources you have, because you can have many resources, but that doesn't mean that it's going to work out. For example, let me tell you a little story since we are here right now. When I was a teacher, before I was a teacher at the school, sorry, I used to work at E4CC. That probably you know that brand. You already heard about it. That is English for call centers. That is a place in which we used to teach people to learn English so they can work in a call center. And right now is probably the biggest academy, English academy, commercial biggest academy, okay? Commercial, in the case that has a specific purpose for a specific brand and a specific audience. That is the most influential right now in the country. Not only in the country, since they have expanded to Honduras, to Nicaragua, and to Guatemala, if I'm not mistaken. But what happens, what's interesting about E4CC, the creator of that brand or the creator of that business, his name is Rodrigo, okay? And you know, Rodrigo is a really, really cheerful guy, but if you learn about Rodrigo's history and how he achieved his success or he enjoys right now, he started at his house, okay? He told us many times, he even wrote a book about it. You can check it out. I guess it's online for free if you want to check it out. But he mentions that when he started out, he was just a teacher who didn't have money, okay? He just graduated from the university but didn't have money. And therefore, he was looking for a job. He started on a job on a call center because he wanted to have enough money to support his family. And when he was at the call center, he started thinking, okay, there are many people who wants to learn English. So why don't I do something with the title I already have and the few money I have and create something? And what he said is that he started a business in the garage of his house, okay? The garage was the classroom at that time. At that garage, he was teaching his neighbors, some people that he knew of, some of the sons and daughters of his friends that needed to learn English at that time, because we're talking about probably 15 years ago that English was not so popular to be learned by many people like it is now. So he was starting something when there was not the market for it, okay? He didn't have the money for having his own building, and he didn't have books, he didn't have desks, he didn't have the resources. But he did what he could with the things that he had at the time. That was just his knowledge, his attitude, and basically the things that he had to share. So he became really successful, and after that, some other people joined to him, and they started creating this business and this brand that you know of right now, and it is a really well-structured brand. So this is an example of a person that started young, but also that started a business with probably no money, or probably if he had money, it was just a little bit of that. It wasn't that big of a quantity because he didn't have an own space to teach. So yet a sizable number of successful practitioners steadily start business having a better than average amount to start capital. Has little to do with success. Capital, I mean, what do I mean by capital? I mean everything, either money, the resources you have, and the different, for example, materials that you have to create a brand. Like if you want to create a restaurant, your capital will be not only the money that you have to buy a place, but probably you have the chairs already, you have the tables, you have some of the tablecloth. That's your capital. But that doesn't mean that if you don't have that enough of resources, you cannot become successful. You can. It depends on your determination, the goal that you have, and the motivation that you have. But if you have a lot of money, of course it's helpful because it's going to help you to give better things from the start, but that doesn't mean that you will stop right there and that you are not going to improve over time. Remember one thing, there is a saying that, well, not a saying, but there is a law that happens that people who have talent, the problem that when they have talent, they don't take advantage of it. Okay? They don't polish it up, then they use it to the best of the capabilities, and they are stuck in the place that they are. While people who doesn't have a talent or doesn't have different abilities to something, they put an extra effort, they walk the extra mile to make sure that they can get to be successful as the people that they have a talent already. In this case, we're talking about money. People who have money, they say, I don't need to do anything else because I have the money for doing it and I don't need to improve. While the others who start from the bottom, they always have that hunger that they have mentioned many times to do better and to do things bigger every single time. Fear of rejection. Most successful business owners rarely admit that the prosperity is with rejection. The meaning of the phrase faced with rejection, so that means that it's created over rejection. Do not expect that because you created a product or a brand or something that's cool and new and innovative, people are going to buy it or people are going to accept it. Rejection is part of the most successful people. The pavement or the way to success is full of rejection and failure. But the people who succeed is not the one that suffer rejection the least or fails the least, but the ones who overcome it. The ones who know how to deal with that and the ones who know how to rise above it and continue walking. So in this case, indeed, many hardcore entrepreneurs openly say that they often fail twice as much as others. But why do not end up, sorry, again, see, why do not end up succeeding? Because in that case, as was mentioned in the example of Harrison Ford, and Mr. Ford failed many, many times as well as Colonel Sanders to be successful. But that didn't stop them. They keep on trying and trying and trying and trying. And you can find it in science. Science is where this is more applicable than anything. Because science is a low process. It's a really, really low process. Well, not a process, but a slow process in which you have to do trial and error many, many times. For example, if you try to check it out now, you may be asking, there are many people that are smart in the world. There are many people that are scientists, investigators, and many. Why they haven't discovered a cure for the situation that we are in right now? Because you know, science is a process that is slow and it requires a lot of testing. So that means that it requires a lot of failure and succeed. Probably they will try a vaccine like thousands and thousands of times because they find before they could find the real one. The same happens with a business. You probably will have to try many, many times with different names, different brands, different products, different, points of view, different emphasis, until you reach the point in which you say, this is the winning formula that I will get and that will help me out to become a successful brand or business. Lack of education or experience. There is evidence that suggests that a college education doesn't guarantee business success. There is many people, especially in this country, that they have a business and probably they didn't have any education from the university, some even from high school, because that's not related on how you're going to manage your job. Basically, what's related to this is how you see the opportunities and how you take advantage of them. You know that sometimes people at the business area, they say that you need to have a sniff for opportunities. So you need to know when to bet and when not to bet. So when to invest your money and when not to invest it. When to start something and when not to start something. And that's why if you read the book, for example, there is something that is mentioned that a period of recession, if you know what recession is, it's a period in which the economy doesn't grow for 6 months because there's a depression before that, etc. I don't want to bore you with that. So that the period in which the economy doesn't grow and the business are not in the best shape to be productive, that is the rate or the historical rate in which business has grown more or new business has started and become really successful. Why? Because at that time, people is wanting something. At the time, since there is a process of inflation before in which the prices go up, people cannot buy more things that they used to, as we are seeing right now, for example, with food, that is getting more and more expensive as we talk. People, even though they earn money, they don't have the same, even though they earn the same quantity, they cannot buy the same quantities of goods that they used to. But imagine that in this crisis, another brand comes and is giving you more things for your bucket. So that means it's giving you more products for the money that you have. Therefore, it's going to be successful. Everybody would prefer to buy at that place than buy in other places where they have products that are more expensive and they could buy less with the money that they always use. But in this other place, you can buy more with probably the money that you used to have, but you probably would prefer that than paying more. So that is the reason why some businesses are successful at this time, because they take the opportunities that other brands are just losing over their fingers, and they make something new and unique that is affordable for people that will catch their attention. Those are basically the 4 fields of entrepreneurship. Really, really interesting, and probably some of the things that stop people from trying to start a business, not only to start a business, but also to continue it and to become successful as a brand. Let's continue. So that's everything that we have to say about the 4 fears. But now let's talk about the 10 myths of entrepreneurship. What do I mean by the 10 myths? I mean things that are not real. You know that a myth is something that people normally believe, but that doesn't mean that it's real because there is not something that proves it's real. There is not evidence that tells you, okay, this is true and this is a fact because it's written in stone. In the first 5 myths that we're going to discuss today, we have a lot of money is needed to finance a startup. What's a startup? Is the initial investment that you may make, is the initial steps that you take, and all the things that you do to start a business. A lot of money is not needed. Okay, we discussed in the previous points when we were talking about the fears that money is not an issue. You can start just with a couple of dollars or with thousands of dollars, but that won't make a difference. That doesn't mean, of course, you need to obviously to save up some money if you want to start a business, but that doesn't mean that you need $1 million to start any kind of business. You can start with just a few thousand, a few hundred, and probably you will have the start of something bigger and better. So a lot of money is needed. So this myth is not completely true because as you know, money is helpful, but it's not something necessary, or it is necessary in some regards, but not the key to complete success. Venture capitalists are a good source to start up a money. What's a venture capitalist? Is a person who we normally call an investor, okay? If probably you have seen the TV show Shark Tank, that I guess some of you have because we mentioned that in class a couple of times. In that case, people who are there judging the ideas, they are venture capitalists. And that program is showing you that as an example. And what's a venture capitalist? A person that invests in an idea, okay? Doesn't invest in a company, doesn't invest in something that is already established, but in an idea. If you have a good idea, an excellent one, they will tell you, okay, I will buy it from you and I will make it work. Or I will give you the means to make it work. So they are always a good source for startup money. Not in all the cases, because believe me that a venture capitalist is not always a multimillionaire that is going to give you thousands of dollars to start something. Sometimes a venture capitalist can be your parents, that they donate some money for you to do something. Can be a bank that is giving you a loan for you to start your dream. Can be a person who lends you some money. Anybody can be a venture capitalist. So it's not that they are always a good source for starting up a business or for starting out with money, because many people do not have the access to a venture capitalist that will give them the help that they need to get the money. Not everybody has a friend who can lend him 500 or 5,000 to start something up. It's not something that happens to most of people that start a business. So this myth, probably they are good. Yes, they are good, but not everybody has access to them. So we can say that it is probably somewhat true, but somewhat false at the same time. Most business angels, so a person who enjoys giving money to someone else so that he can start a business, are rich. This is related to the venture capitalists, and no, they are not rich most of the time. Probably you will find that a person, and if you have read the book, you know that an entrepreneur, that you are an entrepreneur doesn't mean that you are rich all of a sudden. Being an entrepreneur means that probably you have a business, yes, but you are producing enough for your living or for having some kind of luxury, but not so much. Like just imagine, if a business angel, somebody lends you some money to start a business, it's just the owner of a restaurant, per se, not a chain of restaurants, okay? A chain of restaurants, we are talking about something different, but just one restaurant, okay? Let's say one popular over here, let's say Simmer Down or something. Probably he has some money and some, commodities, but that doesn't mean that that person is rich. Having just one quality restaurant doesn't equal to have a chain of restaurants like Pizza Hut, Burger King, or many others. So therefore, they are not always rich. People who are the business angels can be regular people who probably have a normal job from 8 to 5 and get a regular salary, but they want to invest because they want to see achieve their dreams. Startups can be financed with debt. What's a startup? Is a person who wants to start a business, but can be financed with debt. Why do I mean by that? Okay, you know what's a loan? I guess if you don't know, that was a topic from ninth grade that I will do quick summary of that so you know what it is. But basically, a loan is money that is lended to you by a bank, okay? By a bank to either start a business, to study, to pay something, to buy a house, to get married, many, many other resources or purposes for why you may need a loan. But what happens with a loan is that for you to access to a loan, you need to have a credit history. And what's a credit history? It's basically a profile in which the bank sees how many credits have you had over time. Like if you have had credit cards, you have had a credit Siman, if you have had, like, for example, a credit in Radio Shack for saying something, they evaluate all that. They evaluate all the movements that you made with your cards, all the payments that you did on time, all the money that you own. Based on that, they may decide if they offer you a loan or not, or if they denied or they accept the loan that you're asking for. In this case, we can see that this myth is true because probably banks won't risk it with people who already have a history of not being able to pay the money that they owe. But in some cases of some cooperatives, they can finance you, even though you have a credit history like that. Because if they see a good opportunity to produce and they see that your business is a prosperous idea and something that is going to work, they may take the risk and invest. So we can say that this myth is probably kind of true and kind of false at the same time, because there's a 50-50 chance that that could happen, but that will depend on the idea and the possibilities that it has in application. Banks don't lend money to startups. That's what I was telling you. It will depend. Okay, it will depend. It will depend on the financial situation that you are. It will depend on the kind of job that you have, and that will depend on your income as well. Like, for example, imagine that you are just, you are a doctor, for saying something, and you earn between 2,000 to 5,000 a month, for saying something. Probably is more, probably is less, it's just supposition. And you have never had a credit history, but they see that you are a doctor. You have a really, really nice record with the bank and everything. And your income is stable, so that means that it's not fluctuating over time, because there's people, especially in this country, that earn an hourly rate. Like, for example, they earn money based on the amount of hours that they work. And sometimes that income can be more, can be less. But in the case of somebody who has a formal job and they can have a stable source of income, they can be considered to be a person who needs a land or may have a land or may take advantage of one. So that means that if you have a, like, how can I tell, a trustable income, you can bill in some money from the bank to start up a business. But that will depend on the kind of job that you have, the income that you earn, how much you earn, and how you use your money wisely or not. Let's talk about the other 5 myths. In this case, we have talked about the first 5. Most entrepreneurs start their business in attractive industries, and that is not true at all. Okay, that is not true at all. Why? Why do I mean by an attractive industry? I mean like something that is really popular, okay? Like you start your business about something that everybody enjoys, something that everybody likes. And most people who are successful because they started in that kind of place. Like imagine right now, like vegan restaurants are really popular, at least in the States, not over here, but in the States. Imagine that since they are really popular right now, people from the States decided to start a business in that industry. Do you think that they are going to be successful? You may think yes, because you know it's something that people enjoy. Many people are becoming vegan nowadays, so it's going to be a success. Yes and no. Okay, yes, because the audience is already there. But no, because since you are starting an attractive business already or an attractive industry, there is a lot of challenge. There are many, many, many restaurants or many things or many chains of food that will offer the same products that you have, will offer the same services, and probably even better than yours. So you have to be really competitive and you have to offer something completely new to make sure that people do not choose the other brands. Also, some people may start a business in something that is not so attractive, something that is probably something new that has never been tested or tried out, and they can become successful. But that will depend on, for example, in the other case, if you're starting an attractive industry, if you're competitive enough to adapt to the media, to adapt to the things that are happening, And also if you're creative enough to stand out of the crowd. As on the other case, if you're starting an industry that is not that attractive, the point over here is that you offer something that is going to be necessary for people's lives. We talk about this, like, for example, a product in order to be successful needs to be necessary in the life of someone. And that someone is the audience, the consumers of that possible product. The growth of a startup requires more entrepreneur talent than the type of business chosen. Not true. Okay, not true. Sometimes you can know nothing about business and become successful. You can ask many people, for example, here in Santa Ana, they started a business without having any idea of how to start one or how to manage one, but they made a good job out of it. They made an excellent job. Like, for example, let me give you a really, really nice example. Yesterday, I was watching a video about a scientist. I don't remember his name, but he's a Spanish scientist. He's from Spain. And what he said that when he graduated the university and got his master's degrees and everything, he didn't have a job. So what he did is that he joined together with other colleagues and they created a show that was of stand-up comedy using science. That may sound weird and bizarre, but that's what they did. And they were going to many bars and restaurants and trying to present a show so people could laugh with science, which is possible apparently. So what happened at the end was that they didn't have enough money nor the experience to be successful. But they learned through the years and through the time how to do it and how to become successful. More entrepreneurs are financially successful. I mentioned this already. They aren't, okay, because they earn enough money to support themselves and probably enough money as they would have if they had a regular job, but that doesn't mean that they are really, really rich. A large number of startups achieve the sales growth projections that equity investors are looking for. This is not true, because if you're starting your own business and somebody, like an investor, like said, if you sell this amount in this month, then I will invest in your brand. That normally doesn't happen in all the cases. In some exceptional cases, yes, but most people do not have the capabilities, the resources, or the success to do that in just a really, really easy way. And starting a business is easy. I don't have to explain this because you, as entrepreneurs of your company during the economics 2 classes, discovered that starting a business is not easy. It requires a lot of job, a lot of thinking, a lot of ideas, a lot of creativity, and a lot of resources as well. So it's not something easy. It's not something that requires a lot of attention, care, and also patience. So we are going to start chapter 2 for next week. So right now, I will stop sharing my screen. I will stop recording right now.